Alright, brand new channel, time to put a stake in the ground. What are my predictions for the 2021 F1 season? Ciao friends and welcome to TwoSecsTed, my brand new channel, where I talk about motorsports, primarily F1, but anything I want to talk about really. Today, I thought, since none of you know me, I should probably put out some of my opinions, so you can get a feel of what I think is going to happen this year at least. Let's start with the Constructors' Championship. Gonna go in reverse order, bottom to top. Seems simplest. I think right at the bottom, it's going to continue to be Williams, unfortunately. They've had this Mercedes engine for years, and the last 3 years, they've not really been able to do anything with it. So I don't think it's going to be a miracle overnight. Especially, there's no new regulations apart from a bit less downforce. It's pretty much the same. It's just a development of last year's car, and last year's car scored no points. Even with George Russell and Nicholas Latifi, I just don't think they're going to pull it together. The only main threat to that would be the Ferrari teams, Haas and Alfa Romeo, not Ferrari themselves, hopefully. And I don't think Haas are going to be that bad. I think this new Ferrari engine is going to pull Haas and Alfa a little bit up the grid. Not much. I think they're still going to be backmarkers. I don't think they can break into the midfield. Haas have 2 rookies on their team, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Nikita Mazepin is obviously an arsehole, but he's not that bad of a driver. He might be a bit dangerous as well, but I think he's fast enough. And obviously Mick won F2. He's very fast. But they are rookies, both of them, and I don't think that's going to be helping their cause. I also don't think that's going to help with the development of the car, and they're not necessarily the best team at developing anyway. And they've never really had a good start to a season either, apart from 2016 when they had a lot of help from Ferrari. So I think they're solidly staying in 9th. Alfa Romeo, I think of those 3 backmarker teams, they were the team that did the best last year. And if Ferrari do indeed have their shit together, I think they have a solid driver lineup and a solid basis to build from. Obviously, Sauber never been the richest team, so hopefully this budget cap should help them a little as well. Although I can't imagine them maxing it out even with that Fiat Chrysler money coming in. Now, we break into the midfield. The backmarkers, they're the easy ones. The midfield. This is when the risky picks start coming in. And bottom of the barrel, unfortunately, I've had to put Alpine. I think Renault had a very good season last year, but they've lost Daniel Ricciardo, replaced him with Fernando Alonso, who is obviously quite a good driver, but we'll see how he performs. I don't think Ocon's going to be making any super moves. I can't see that materialising, quite frankly. So I have had to put them last of the midfield. It's not that I think Alpine are a bad team, it's just that I think all of the other teams are going to be making more moves. Especially Alpine, they've got this new team principal coming in. I think it's going to take a year or 2 for them to settle. Maybe next year, we'll see how the new regs pan out. Aston are next. I am a lifelong Aston Martin fan, so it pains me to put them this far down the grid. But that Racing Point last year was very good. But that's because it was a Mercedes, and they've never really been the best team at developing, so I can't see them doing that well. Lance Stroll is a brilliant driver on a good day, but on a bad day, he's not. He's not good at all. So it really does depend on his run of form. They've lost Checo. They've got Seb. If Seb is a 2013 level genius again, or even a 2018 level genius, they might do very well. But based on last year, even the year before, 2019, 2020, they weren't brilliant seasons for Vettel. And yes, that's because the Ferrari wasn't suited to him, and maybe this Aston will be. But I'm hedging my bets that they won't be the best team, because I don't think that car is going to be developed all that much. Which gets me to my first upward mover, AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri have a really strong driver lineup this year. Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda. Pierre Gasly, race winner, obviously, last year for AlphaTauri. Yuki Tsunoda came 3rd in F2 by, I think, a single point. He's obviously very quick. I think they have a good shout, especially if they've got this maxed budget cap, which I think they probably do. Going into this year, I think they're going to do quite well. So AlphaTauri, I'm putting them 5th in the championship. Next up, another mover-upper, Ferrari. I'm just hoping they've got their shit together. I'm just hoping this engine is good. If the engine is good, then I don't see why they can't sit fourth in the championship. They could even break third, but it really depends on how McLaren do. Ferrari, they've obviously dropped Vettel. They've got Sainz. Leclerc's obviously been brilliant for the last 2 years at Ferrari. He was brilliant in the Sauber before that too. He's an enormously good driver and my personal favourite, in case you couldn't tell. So realistically, it all depends, for Ferrari, on their engine and how well McLaren do. Because both Ferrari and McLaren have new engines that aren't just small developments or no development from the last year. Ferrari, it's their own again, but McLaren, they've gone Mercedes, and that's a gamble, especially this year now that we've ended up with this new system of points where it's very possible that McLaren have taken away some of their development points that they desperately needed to switch to this engine that might not even be that much better. I think it probably will be. This is why I've put them in third. McLaren, they're a brilliant team. They always have been. They used to be a consistent top 3 team, but that slipped away when they left Mercedes power. So it will be interesting to see them again. I think their lineup is fantastic. Norris, Ricciardo, brilliant drivers. One very young, one more experienced. I think that's a good lineup. I think that's a good call. I think they've picked the right people to be in that car. Obviously, they lost Sainz, and Sainz was a good member of their team. He was a good driver for them. Hopefully, he does well in that Ferrari. But they've got Ricciardo now. I think that's a good thing. The team management, Seidel, Zach Brown, I think they are trustworthy as well. So I'm hoping for a good season from them, and they'll end up in the top 3. Behind Red Bull, of course. Red Bull, they've got Perez. They've got Verstappen. Can it go wrong? I don't think so. I think Checo will do well in that Red Bull. I think Max has been doing well in that Red Bull. A little less well last year than he did the year before, so hopefully they can fix some of those issues. Otherwise, I think it will be a fairly good season for Red Bull. I don't think, however, they can break that Mercedes stride. I think that Mercedes is too good. I think Lewis Hamilton is too good. I think Valtteri Bottas is too good for Red Bull to unfortunately get anywhere close. I would like to see a fight this year. Maybe we'll still see one, but maybe it'll be between Bottas and Hamilton. Or if Hamilton doesn't sign his contract, because it's February 4th and he still hasn't. So yes, that puts Mercedes at the top. As you'd expect. I'm not going to take the risk. So that's my Constructors' predictions. Williams, Haas, Alfa Romeo. Pretty much staying in the same order. Big movers up next, the 2 new teams, the 2 new names at least, Alpine, Aston Martin. I think they're not going to get that much worse. I think they're slipping down because 2 teams will overtake them in the form of AlphaTauri and Ferrari, the Italian teams, moving up the grid. And that then the top 3, I think McLaren are staying in that 3rd spot. Red Bull and Mercedes not moving either. So the main 2 movers and shakers in this have been the Italian teams. With the new names slowly, just dropping down a little to compensate. Which takes me to the Drivers' Championship. Obviously impacted by what I think is going to happen in the Constructors, so it's roughly in that order, but with a few shake-ups here and there. I think Latifi last, it's not unreasonable. He's just not as good as Russell, although not including the Bahrain Sakir Grand Prix points that George Russell got, all 3 of them. I think Latifi was doing better in the championship if you only include Williams drives. He had like 3 11th places, 3 11th finishes, which is fine. So I think Latifi is an underrated driver in the sport. I just don't think there's anything he can do in that Williams, and he's up against Russell, who's very bloody good. Which is why I haven't put him next. I put Mazepin next. It's his rookie year. He's not as good as Schumacher. That Haas probably won't be very good. So he's going 19th. Obviously talked about Russell. I think Mick, F2 champion, he's going to do quite well, even in that Haas. So he's beating the Williams boys and his teammate, I think, at least. Alfa Romeo, I think Kimi's going to outperform Giovinazzi. I think they're both pretty good. Not much they can do in that Alfa, though. They're still kind of stuck, pedaling around at the back. As we enter the midfield, Esteban Ocon. I just don't think that Alpine's going to be anything special. I think Esteban's a good driver. Obviously, he had a podium back end of last year. He's pretty good. I just don't think he's going to be a major mover and shaker, you know? Yuki Tsunoda, it's his rookie year. Obviously, he's a very talented kid, but I just don't see him in his rookie year beating anyone that major. Only Esteban. Sorry, Esteban. So, Esteban's teammate, Fernando Alonso, the fourth rookie. He's I've put him next. I just don't think, as I've said before, I just don't think that Alpine's going to be anything special. I just don't think there's much he can do, especially considering the time he's had off from the sport. Which I think puts him right next to Sebastian Vettel. I think Sebastian Vettel's going to do quite well, but considering the downswing in his career he's had over the last couple of years, I think it's going to take a couple of minutes for him to get back up to speed. So I put him below Stroll. If Stroll doesn't have a really big run of bad luck again, I think he's going to beat out Vettel just from pace. I think Seb's good. I think Stroll's even better, honestly. I think Stroll's a young guy. Last year he was second youngest on the grid. Obviously that's changed now, but he's still, young. I think he's going to do quite well. We'll see. Those two I'm not particularly sure about, but we'll see. I've then put Pierre Gasly. I think Pierre Gasly and that AlphaTauri is a fantastic combination. You've seen how far away he is from Tsunoda, 3 places. I think Gasly, maybe he gets another podium or 2 over the course of the season, maybe another win. Although I'm unsure about that. I'm not predicting that. I think he's just very good. I think that AlphaTauri, especially with the new budget cap, is one to look out for. Carlos Sainz is next. It's the new car. I think he's going to get outperformed by Charles, who I have put next. So the Ferrari boys, neck and neck, beating the Alpines, beating the Aston Martins. Nothing major. I think they're just going to be pretty, top of the midfield. That car is just not there for them. That even if they fix the engine, I just don't see how they can develop the SF1000 into a race-winning car. Obviously, it was a multiple podium scorer last year, even with the dodgy engine. So we'll see, but that's where I put them. Daniel Ricciardo beating Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. I think that's going to be good for Daniel Ricciardo. That move to McLaren, I think that's going to pan out well for him, but not as well as Lando Norris. In between those two boys, though, I have put Sergio Perez. Again, it's a new team. It's a very different style of car. I think it's going to take him a couple of races to adjust. He's a very adaptable driver, but I think just a couple of races to settle down, and therefore Norris is going to pip him. So still not as bad as Alex Albon did or Pierre Gasly. I think he's still going to be better just from that experience. I don't think, as mentioned with Gasly, I also don't think Albon's bad. I will happily await to see what he does in DTM, which has gone GT3, so I'm very excited for that. I expect some of that content to appear on this channel, actually. Any GT3 content. Which leads us to the top 3 in the order you'd expect. I think Verstappen, Bottas, Hamilton. I can't see Max Verstappen beating Valtteri Bottas. I just think that Mercedes is too good. I just think Valtteri Bottas is too good. Max is obviously brilliant, but I think Max is obviously brilliant, but he's not in the Mercedes, and you can't make up for that. And then obviously Lewis wins. Sorry. I shouldn't have done this in reverse. Really ends on an obvious note. I'm not going wild with my predictions this year. It's my first year doing them. I think it's fair for me to play them safe. It's also possible we get George Russell in a Mercedes, so who knows. But anyway, this video has dragged on quite a while for my first video, so I think I'll end it here. Thanks so very much for watching. I've been George. This is TwoSecsTed. It's a brand new channel. I would really appreciate it if you subscribed, liked, commented why I'm wrong. That's a big one. Please tell me why I'm being an idiot. Turn your notifications on, all of that. It's a brand new channel, really trying to get this off the ground, so all of that would really help. Trying to hit 100 subscribers so I can get one of those custom URLs. Anyway, share it around, all of that. Thanks so much. See ya.